What could be more bonding than a grandfather going on a fishing trip with his 7-year-old grandson? Turns out just about anything. I grew up in a large family, so being able to spend special one-on-one time with a grandparent was really a luxury. And so when I was chosen to go on this exotic adventure of fishing to a pond in the middle of a cow pasture with my grandfather, it was really very, very much an honor for me, and I looked forward to it. And I remember going there, and we came over the hills and had to be careful of the cow pies and the thorny bushes, but we got down there. It was just, sun was just coming up, and it was such a wonderful experience until we actually started fishing. And I remember 3 things that happened there. The first one was, we'd been there for a while, I guess, because there was a stringer of fish in the water, and a turtle came up and started to bite our fish, and my grandfather picked up the turtle and took it out, turned it upside down, and stomped on it. And I stood there, and I saw these intestines, brightly colored, oozing out, and he explained to me that, well, we don't want the turtle to get our fish. And it made sense, but still didn't feel quite right to me. The second experience was we had minnows, and we had these long cane poles, so you had to put a hook through the lip of the minnow. Now, I know that neuroscientists tell us that fish don't feel pain. You can Google that. But still, as a 7-year-old, it didn't feel quite right. But the big event was fishing. So with the cane pole, there's no reel. All you have to do, my pap told me, was watch the bobber. And if it goes under, then you pull. Well, I was 7 and kind of prone to daydreaming, so I wasn't watching the bobber. When I hear my grandfather yell, pull, and I pull as hard as I can, and the hook, now empty of course, comes up and goes way over my head back into the thorny bushes. So then I know that's not right, so I try to pull, and it's too late. The hook is engaged in the thorny bushes. And I look at my pap, and he looks at me, and he doesn't say anything, but he just starts slowly walking back to the thorny bushes to let my line free. And I felt this shame rising in me. I had let him down. At 7, I didn't know the word incompetent. But I felt it. It's my benchmark moment of feeling incompetence. And my grandfather, he was never abusive. He was never cruel. He was never mean. He gave me money to go to college. But from that moment on, somehow he could arise my incompetence. So he paid for me to go to college, and then after college I was waiting to go to graduate school, and I went over to his house almost every day that summer trying to work off some of the debt that I owed to him for paying all my college. And so one day I was painting his carport roof, and a little paint just happened to fall over. And another day I was scraping the windows, and this was to get the caulk out, but sometimes I would gouge a little bit deeper and a big chunk of wood would come out. And he never said anything, but I could see in his eyes that he was wondering if I was really related to him. And one day we were out in his garden, and there were 2 moths. They really were moths, and they were one on top of each other, and I'd never seen anything like that before. And I said, "What are they doing?" And he looked at me and said, "Mating." And I could just imagine in his mind, I sent this boy to college, and he doesn't know sex when he sees it. But the worst moment was when I was mowing his yard, and he had this old mower with the spark plug stuck out, and I could see there was a wire that was supposed to be touching the spark plug. I just knew that wasn't right. So with the mower going, I leaned down and I didn't lose consciousness, but everything went white, and I knew what spark plugs are for. But my grandfather, that summer, my grandmother died, and my mother said, on the day she died, Pap shouldn't be alone, so I went and I spent time with him. And I thought, this will be a time for us to bond. We'll talk about Granny, or I'll be there for him. But he just read his book, and we never connected. And then a few years later, when he was very old, and I still wanted to connect with him, so I said, Pap, are you ready to die? Again, the incompetence. And he looks at me and says, what do you think? I was like, I don't know. I just wanted to bond with him, but I never did. And we were different people. He was a man of the world. He worked in a factory, was a woodworker, and I'm a psychotherapist. I collect philosophical quotes. I write haiku. We're just different, and now I'm a pap, and I have a 2-year-old granddaughter, and whether she's a woman of things and wants to do things in the world, or if she's more in ideas like me, I want to be for her in whatever way I can. But I know one thing for sure: I will never take her fishing.